All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. My name is Jess Larkin, and I am the Senior Marketing Specialist at Cornerstone. Today, we're going to be talking about 2025 marketing trends, what strategies to include in your marketing plan. Oops, sorry, I lost my place already. And how automating workflows for your campaigns can save you time and improve communications with your clients. My goal today is to provide an outlined 2025 marketing plan that you can follow as a busy health insurance agent and help you understand how you really can do marketing and sales all at the same time. But before we get started, we need to go over a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can type them in the chat box and I will answer them at the end of the presentation. Also going to have a couple of questions throughout the webinar that I'd like to see your responses on. So if you're interested, you can put your responses in the chat box when those questions are asked. If you haven't already done so, be sure to register for Cornerstone's 2025 Individual Broker Expo. This year, we'll be headed to the Cleveland Zoo and Bowling Green State University for a networking and educational event where you will have the opportunity to meet with Ohio's top carriers and brokers and learn more about the products that you need to add to your individual portfolio in 2025. You can register for either location today on the Cornerstone website, and I will go ahead and put the link to that in the chat box so that you guys can see it. All right, if you are interested in registering, go ahead and click that link and submit your registration for either location. The expo will be the same at both locations, so you only need to go to one, but it'll be very helpful. There will be 2 CE courses available, I think one at each location. One is about ICRA, and I forget what the other one's about, but we'll be releasing some information about that later today or early tomorrow. So keep your eyes out for that one. All right, now without further ado, let's talk about marketing in 2025. The marketing landscape has changed significantly as online engagement increases. Customer support has shifted to fielding direct messages on social media. Short-form video has taken over, and the digital space is just basically cluttered with content. And of course, marketing for health insurance is really different from other industries because you're providing a service to your clients instead of a physical product, which means that your goals are different, and more importantly, the customer journey is going to be different. Marketing health insurance consultation services means that you're selling based on a client's needs, not based on whims. Your clients aren't just going to go to a social media post and add your services to a cart and then check out. The customer journey with health insurance is going to take way more time because it requires establishing trust and credibility and providing the education necessary for the client to make an informed decision. But before we can talk more about how the customer journey differs for health insurance clients, I want to know from you, what are some of the most common roadblocks that you face as a health insurance agent when marketing to your prospects? I want you to type your answers into the chat and I'll go through them in just a minute. If you can see me darting around the screen, it's because I only have one monitor today. So I'm working from just the one with the presentation. So apologies if the mouse kind of gets in your way. Again, what are the most common roadblocks that you face as a health insurance agent when marketing to your prospects? Give just a couple minutes for some responses. Okay. Our political budget is a big one. Not knowing how to do it. All right, yeah, a lot of it has to do with, budget. If you're an insurance agent and you have, a minimal budget for marketing, what do you do with the money that you do have, or how can you do things that are, ultimately free or very, very low cost that provide similar similar results to spending those big bucks that the big guys are able to spend. So there's a lot working against you as a health insurance agent. You know, the political landscapes, like we talked about, budget concerns, compliance and regulation issues, constraints with enrollment periods, consumer skepticism. The list goes on and on and on. The customer journey is much longer, and converting prospects into sales is going to be far more complicated than it would be for other brands that might just sell a basic product or service. A clothing brand, for example, can convert quickly with a well-timed paid social ad based on user algorithms. The user may add the product to their cart immediately after they see it on Instagram, and then the sale is just made right there and then. A paid social post advertising your services as an agent, on the other hand, will start the process of lead nurturing using brand awareness and boosting credibility, which is going to take way more time, it's going to take way more precision, and it's going to take a lot of patience. So there are some costs and there are benefits to this customer journey that your clients are going through. The costs for sure are the time and the energy that it takes to nurture your lead, convert it into a sale, and then ensure the customer service is sufficient to maintain that sale at renewal. So it goes beyond just the sale, it has to go through, actually retaining that client. But the benefit is that you have brand loyalty that a lot of companies have some issues with that might struggle with that. And you're consistently nurturing that loyalty throughout the process. While brands with physical products may rely on impulse purchases from the consumers, you know that your clients are sold on you as their agents. They're sold on your personality, your expertise, and that makes a big difference. So in the grand scheme of things, what does this all mean? Well, it means that your time as a health insurance agent is very precious. It means that marketing is an intentional and very vital piece of your business. And it means that you need to get creative and draw out a cohesive project plan to ensure your marketing dollars are going to worthwhile projects and not just to throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. So today we are going to talk about how we can do that through the theories and practices of omni-channel marketing and how we can use workflows and automations to make that happen. But before we can talk about strategy, we need to talk about what does and does not work in the year 2025. So let's talk about marketing trends that you're going to see more of this year and why they're actually gaining popularity. And also, if you have used any of these strategies in your marketing before, please feel free to share in the chat. I'd love to hear what's worked for you and what hasn't worked for you in your business, especially considering how much the landscape has changed over the last couple of years. What have you tried? What have you tried and won't try again? Let me know in the chat, and I'd love to talk more about that with you. So the first one, I bet you could all see this one coming, is effective use of AI. AI has saturated the content space over the last couple of years with some equally incredible and sometimes actually quite hilarious results, depending on what you're looking at. Sometimes you might see a picture of some people with more than the fingers that God had given them. There are a lot of risks to using AI in your business, and there are some places where I recommend staying away from AI entirely, especially in the health insurance area when it comes to data privacy, compliance, security. But there are also plenty of opportunities where AI can help you save time and fill in the gaps with content creation. Specifically, AI can be valuable when it's used for content creation. So using simple tool like ChatGPT or Jasper can help you craft calls to actions or social media posts or any kind of content like that if you're not necessarily great at that kind of stuff. If you want to use AI for creating educational pieces, for example, then you can use it to actually put that piece together. But I would highly recommend feeding the engine with your expertise and then letting it organize the content for you. So basically telling it all the information that it needs to know and then letting it write it for you rather than just letting it write the entire thing. For example, if you want to create an informational piece about deductibles, I would not tell the AI search engine to create a flyer about deductibles for these clients. Instead, I would write the piece with my information that I know about deductibles and then use AI to clean up the copy or organize it better so that the audience can understand it. This is because AI is information isn't always as up to date as it needs to be, especially in an industry like health insurance where things change every single day. you need to be really careful with what information you're putting out there. If you do end up using AI for content creation and just saying create a flyer for deductibles for these specific clients, I would just make doubly sure that you're going through and fact checking all of that information as the expert, and putting it up with the data that you have yourself, just to make sure that what you're giving your clients is real, so that they can continue to trust your credibility and your expertise. Second use for AI might be data analysis and your insights. So AI tools like Adverity can be used to collect and review your analytics so that you can keep an eye on positive or negative trends in your marketing. So tools like Adverity tend to take your your data from social media or website performance, and they put it all into a graph for you to show you the trends that are happening with your post, so that you can look back and say, oh, in February 2025, that one posted really well, but then this post in March did not do so well. So what are the differences between those two? And it can help you analyze that data and figure out where to go from there. And we'll talk about how data analysis and insights are vital parts of the marketing strategy in a few minutes here. Again, you can use AI for research. So while I wouldn't use AI to create a full educational piece for you, it can be a powerful tool to gather your information. And like I said, just make sure to fact check everything before you send it out to clients. Remember that your clients trust you and they trust that you're going to give them the correct information. And another use for AI might be customer service. Platforms like Jotform are great for setting up more personalized and reliable customer service workflows to answer your calls, your chats, or any other kind of inquiries so that each client receives consistent service. So those are some just basic uses of AI that are being used today, that you might be able to implement with your own business to make your life a little bit easier when it comes to your marketing. But just remember, like I've reiterated already, with the number one risk of AI being related to accuracy and accountability, just be careful to use caution and be thorough when reviewing your work. It's great and all, but there have been some pretty terrible outcomes with those who don't use it wisely. So just be doubly sure that when you're using AI, you are keeping your eye on it and not just letting it do its thing for you. The second trend that's extremely important in 2025 is segmentation and crafting a buyer persona. This just means segmenting your distribution list, so like your email distribution list or mailing distribution list, and crafting a buyer persona to cut through the saturated market and ensure that you're targeting the right audiences with the right messages. This means crafting different marketing for prospective clients versus your retained business, changing the language of your ads based on demographics, just making sure that you're seeing your whole customer buyer persona rather than just, again, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. You want to find out who your customer really is and segment your list, segment your marketing based on their needs specifically, instead of just having one email and one way of doing things and hopefully trying to reach everybody. Try to segment and try to figure out how we can differ, how we can change up the language. So for instance, if you're in employee benefits and you do both small group and you do large group, I don't think that you're going to want to send the same kind of email marketing to your small group that you might for your large group. It's probably going to change based on what their needs are. The next marketing trend is social media as an essential means of customer service, which is really interesting. Social media has opened the door for more personalized customer service, which has now become a minimum standard for consumers. With the ability to directly message brands with their concerns and their questions, placing focus on your customer service has become more vital than ever for maintaining a client past renewal. It's really vital these days that you are reachable for your clients. If you're on social media and you have the ability to allow your prospects and clients to message you on social media, you want to make sure that you're responding to those, because a lot of people, especially in millennial and Gen Z, are reaching out to brands this way. This is how they get their information. I know myself as a millennial, I do tend to reach out to people on Instagram because I feel like it might be a quicker way to actually talk to a real person. So make sure that you're not overlooking your social media and just doing a couple posts per week and letting it go. Make sure that you're checking in on it to make sure that you're responding to anything that might come from there. Next trend is short form video and visual storytelling content. So according to HubSpot's 2025 Marketing Trends Report, visual storytelling is the new norm. Short form video content leads the way, with 29.18% of marketers identifying it as the most used format and 21.02% citing it as delivering the highest ROI. It's most commonly seen on platforms like Instagram or TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. It's a great way to send out a lot of information in a short amount of time while also showcasing your personality and your credibility. Over the last couple of years, I've been encouraging health insurance agents to get on Instagram and TikTok if they have the time to maintain it, because it is such a valuable tool and because it's an untapped market for health insurance at this point. There's not a whole lot going on there. So you could get on there, be at the start of it, and try to showcase some of your expertise. Last but not least, we've got paid search and social media advertising. So according to Local IQ's 2025 Small Business Marketing Trends Report, only 40% of small businesses are investing in search advertising, but those who are tend to be satisfied with the results. Paid search and social media advertising, especially for health insurance agents, is more affordable and successful than you might think it is. With the right strategy, the right content, and the right keyword usage, you're going to be able to reach a large interested audience, even with a small budget. It just takes a little bit of time and it takes a nice website in place. So I'm just going to go in and make sure we don't have any questions real quick. All right. So with the understanding that health insurance marketing is difficult and that there are certain trends in marketing that work well in the digital age, how do we actually create a successful marketing strategy that won't need your attention around the clock, but will still provide a modern and consistent experience for your clients? The answer is in omnichannel marketing and automation, which is a lot of big words, so stay with me. Often what we see these days is a stark disconnect between sales and marketing, which means that the two teams tend to act independently and can lead to missed opportunities. So let me explain. Let's say at Larkin Insurance Agency, we have three departments. We have sales, we have marketing, and we have customer service. With a typical multi-channel marketing strategy, each department is going to work independently. Their goals, message, and service standards are all different based on their own metrics for success, thinking that each department is taking care of their own projects and it doesn't matter what you're doing. But there are gaps in this way of thinking that come at the expense of engagement, conversions, and ultimately retention. Your salesperson is saying, I've handled my clients like this for 30 years, why fix what isn't broken? The marketing team is saying, okay, but that doesn't match the content we're putting out to drive traffic to the website. And the customer service team is completely out of the loop with all these conversations, and they're unable to give their clients fast and reliable support as a result. So in comes omnichannel marketing. The idea of omnichannel marketing is to provide a consistent brand experience for your clients at every touch point of their customer journey, from prospecting to retention. It puts the client at the center to provide a consistent and unified experience across multiple devices and marketing channels, so your websites, your apps, your social media, and email, as well as any grassroots and brick and mortar marketing and events efforts. So with omnichannel marketing, those sales teams, the marketing team, customer service teams, they're all working together to create a unified message and a unified overview of your brand across all of your channels for the right people at the right time. And omnichannel marketing is typically applied to retailers that might have like brick and mortar locations. For example, Old Navy may employ omnichannel marketing to ensure that their Instagram, website, and in-store shopping experiences are all consistent with each other. But the idea of omnichannel marketing works on the service side as well, especially when you don't have the extra time to keep your eye on all of your marketing around the clock. The customer service experience is under more scrutiny than ever before, And the goal of omnichannel marketing is to create an equally efficient and positive experience across all of your platforms in marketing, sales, and service. It draws on data from the customer journey along different channels, which we'll talk about in a second, from grassroots to online to retention communications. Basically, you're putting yourself in the shoes of the customer. What is their journey from awareness to sale to retention? What steps do they go through from when they see your ad or presentation to when they actually decide to renew their plan with you a year later? Knowing where the touch points are in the customer journey and employing omnichannel marketing will allow you to create a personalized and unified message, maintain engagement, and direct them from awareness through sale and beyond. But these are a lot of words. How does it actually work? So here are the steps that you take to employ an omnichannel marketing strategy. First, you got to get to know who your actual clients are and what your business is. So the first thing that you have to do is determine what are your marketing goals and your objectives. Who are you trying to reach? Why are you trying to reach them? And what does that look like for you? You also need to establish your brand identity. So that means your logo, your website, consistent colors, consistent fonts, consistent tone. All of these things make a huge difference when it comes to the customer experience, especially in 2025. I know nowadays, if I'm trying to research a service and I go online and I look up, health insurance agents near me, and I'm trying to work with somebody who I know is going to give me quick and reliable service, I very much rely on what their website looks like, whether or not it's easy to navigate. If they have a website in general, I rely on Google reviews to see how they're really doing. All of this stuff is really important for establishing your identity as a brand and ensuring that you have the credibility and the expertise to help your clients. After that, after you have your goals and objectives, what you want to do, and you establish that brand identity, you have exactly who your brand is, it's time to create a buyer persona and identify segmentation and positioning opportunities. So basically, this just means that you're segmenting your list, the people that you're trying to get in contact with, by demographics, psychographics, their lifestyle traits, behaviors. So for example, if you are somebody who sells individual health insurance and Medicare, you're going to have different segments for different marketing campaigns. One of those segments might be for families who, have a child who's turning 26 and is not going to be on their health insurance anymore. That child needs to be educated about health insurance. But then you also have people who are going on to Medicare, and you don't really want to have the same message for both of them. You want each of them to have their own buyer persona so that you can target them more fully and give them better information and make yourself look more reliable. And then you want to identify your clients' priority platforms and map their buying journey. So for Gen Z and millennials, their priority platforms are going to be things like Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. They might be doing, little things at the flea market, looking to, go to small businesses. And you're actually mapping their buying journey. So how might they actually find you? They could find you through Google. They could find you through social media. And try to figure out what their next steps are from that point of finding you on those platforms to how you can get the sale from there. Once you have a good understanding of your clients and how you benefit them, it's time to put together your actual campaign. Sorry, just making sure I'm keeping an eye on the question box. So the first thing that you want to do is create a consistent message that will be used throughout the sales process, meaning it has the same tone and selling points, and all of those are used consistently in your marketing, sales, and your customer service. So whatever that message is, based on that segmentation, based on your client's priority platform, you want it to be consistent across the board. Then you want to establish your marketing channels. So some examples of marketing channels might be an optimized website with clear calls to action that you can create landing pages for specific campaigns. Your website might have forms to gather prospective client or current client information so you can add them to distribution lists and segment them better based on their responses. You might use social media and create content based on who your audiences are. So if you're in employee benefits, you might be focused on LinkedIn and Facebook. If you're focused on individuals and families, then you might be Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, X, YouTube, what have you. Another channel is email marketing, so newsletters and segmented email campaigns that you might send out to your distribution list. And then grassroots marketing efforts, which could be local events, it could be display advertising, anything that you kind of do in the community to get your face out there. Those are all marketing channels that you might consider based on the audience that you determine for your message. So you just kind of have to pick and choose based on that buying journey, based on that buyer's persona, what marketing channels make the most sense. And, I would put some research into this too. If you've had social media for a while, who's clicking on your stuff? What demographics do they line up with? And that'll help you establish which marketing channels are best for you. And then when you have your strategy and you're ready to send it out into the world, then you want to make sure you have systems in place to maintain the consistency of your message and your customer service, which leads us to lead nurturing, automations, and your customer support. So lead nurturing might look like event-triggered workflows, which we'll talk more about, which might be like emails that are triggered by different criteria. So let's say on your website you have a form that you can have clients fill out. Maybe you have it so that once they submit that form, they receive a marketing email automatically 2 days later with some more information if they don't do X, Y, or Z. So if they submit a form, but they don't return your calls or, they don't answer the email, then maybe you end up sending them a different marketing email that will keep them on the line. Again, prioritizing customer support at the lead nurturing stage is also very important, and also a good use for AI, like we talked about. So it's something that you can automate as well. Basically, let's talk about like Facebook Messenger. If somebody sends you a message on Facebook Messenger, you can have it automated so that when somebody does message you, an automated message pops up right away, letting them know that they're going to be waiting for a second, or somebody will be with them for a second, just to ensure that your customer service is on point. And then finally, you want to analyze the success of your campaign and pivot when necessary. So you want to actually look at the data after you put your campaign out there and say, is this actually working? Do I have any conversions? Do I have a lot of impressions? Is my click-through rate good? What is this actually doing for me? Do I see results? And that's going to be a little bit different for every campaign. It might take a lot of time for you to determine the success of your campaign. Some campaigns you might be able to determine the success of in 6 months, and some might be 6 days. So it really depends. But this is also when you can make changes to your campaigns. If you go a month with one campaign and you notice this message is not hitting, that's when you can pivot. And that's part of omnichannel marketing as well, is maybe there's something in there that's not hitting correctly with our audience based on our buyer persona, and we need to try something a little bit different. That's all part of omnichannel marketing. So this is easy enough to understand in theory, but how do we actually put these ideas into practice? I've created a very basic workflow template based on omnichannel marketing with multiple client touch points and communications that can be automated. And by automated, you can create your workflow and then have these channels in place to ensure that when you receive an email, this template of the email is sent out. Or there are also software options that are available. So things like HubSpot or MailChimp provide options to automate. And I'll talk more about those in a little bit. So let's walk through this example together. Let's say that my goal is to focus on prospects who are turning 26 and are coming off of their parents' health insurance plan. They need a plan, and most importantly, they need education about what health insurance is and how it works so they can be empowered consumers. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, insured adults overwhelmingly support public policies to make insurance simpler to understand and help them avoid or resolve insurance problems. So understanding and education are big pieces of health insurance marketing. So I've established a goal based on our checklist from before. I'm going to establish my goal. So my goal is to educate prospects who are turning 26 and coming off their parents' health insurance plan. When I educate them about health insurance, how it works, and how my agency can help. That's my goal. My target audience, like I said, is obviously going to be men and women turning 26 in the next year. They might be unemployed, they might still be in school, but they do not currently have health insurance, and they would not currently have access to health insurance from their workplace. That's the kind of people that I'm targeting. Next up, I consider my brand identity. So like I showed here, you have to establish your brand identity, which means your logo and your branding. It might mean my Facebook page, Instagram page, website, email marketing. So I did a little bit of mock-up for a brand identity that I can work with on social media, on my website. It's just a logo, font, colors, and then mock-ups of what that might look like on the website and on my social media. Just consistency. It follows with what I'm trying to do for the people that I'm targeting. The images are all featuring younger folk who could be around the age that I'm trying to target. And the idea is that everything looks very consistent. Next, you have to figure out your customers' priority platforms and their buying journey. So what that actual customer journey looks like. So I know based on, any research that I've done that turning 26, your best bets are going to be through your website, social media and direct messages. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. They might be at career fairs, at local small businesses. They could still be at university, community events, things like that. These are going to be their platforms that they are most likely going to find my brand on. Next up is to figure out my messaging. So my message, I would like to keep friendly and helpful and encouraging. So something along the lines of, are you turning 26 and have no idea what to do about health insurance? You've got this. I want to put them in the seat to be more empowered as a consumer to say, I can help you with your education on health insurance. I can help simplify it for you because I know it's a lot to take in. And establishing myself as an expert and sort of as a guide in the situation without totally pushing the sale. Because I find that with health insurance marketing, it can be a little bit difficult to convert if you push the sale too much. Sometimes you want to position yourself as an expert instead, and then nurture that lead until it gets to sale. Then next up, we have to consider, okay, so now we have our messages, we have who we actually want to target. What are the channels that we're going to be using? So on the left here are my digital marketing channels and my grassroots marketing channels. So for digital marketing, I'm going to do some Facebook ads. I'm going to do 2 sets of ads with different creatives with altered messaging. Same with my Instagram ads. I'm going to try 2 different things, see which one is the most successful. And I want to do some Google search ads. So if they search health insurance agents near me, then I want to be able to pop up to help them out with their specific situation. I want my Google search to be one of the first ones on that page if I can. And then for grassroots marketing, something that's a little bit more personal and local, I want to be able to host a webinar about health insurance, do like a health insurance 101 webinar that's targeted at people who want to learn more or who might not have any idea what they're doing. I might want to have some booths and available one-on-ones at local events or universities. And I want to do some advertising at local small businesses that I know have a clientele that is typically of this age. So maybe some coffee shops or, one of those paint and sips, some of those places. After that, I try to figure out what my lead nurturing is going to look like. So I might create an email follow-up campaign based on all of these ads, or I might have forms that have automatic replies and email follow-ups. I want a landing page that is going to have all of my information. They'll be able to register for the webinar. Maybe there's a resource. And, another important piece of it, maybe they can schedule a one-on-one meeting with me through an app like Calendly to learn more about health insurance, or if they're in need of it and they don't feel like figuring it out for themselves, then they can contact me directly. Like I said, Facebook Messenger automatic replies to make sure that I'm replying and I'm up to date on all my social media channels, and even a call script. So if you receive a call based on the information that you're given, if you have some sort of script or outline that you follow so that your message is consistent, that kind of stuff is considered lead nurturing as well. And then last but not least is the analysis. So like I said, I want to do a couple of different Facebook ads or Instagram ads. So maybe I do a little bit of A/B testing. A/B testing being trying two different pieces with the same kind of messaging, but a little bit different to find out which ones do better. So for example, if I want to send out an email newsletter, maybe I change the subject line for one versus the other and see which subject line leads to the most open rate. And maybe I do a monthly analysis of this campaign to make sure that everything is going smoothly, that it's working as anticipated, that I'm bringing in the correct people, that the people that I am converting are of the target audience that I'm actually looking at, and going from there and making adjustments and changes. So overall, this is kind of what it looks like, and this kind of looks overwhelming if you look at it, but it really all comes down to the same exact funnel. You have your digital marketing, you have your events and your grassroots marketing, and you have all the things that you want to do based on those that would be good for your specific target audience. And they all lead to the same place. So my advertising at a local business might have a link or have like a website that goes to my landing page, which has an online form. And that same landing page is used for my paid social campaigns or my paid Google search ads. And that form, when it's received by the customer service teams, maybe they're able to push it off to its correct channels based on a workflow that we have. And maybe if nothing comes of it, then 2 days later, an automated email goes to that client saying, this is, have you, forgotten us, or, how can we help you? What do you need more information about? And then based on their information that they provide in the online form, how can we segment their information to put them on more specific lists so that we can give them even more information, and A/B testing those emails to make sure that we are giving them the correct message as well. And then any kind of reminders or automations based on email segmentation. This all kind of feels a little bit theory, so it's very difficult to explain how this might work in a practical sense, but hopefully this gives you an idea of the full web of information that you're providing based on your message. So again, this is only based on one target audience that you want to do all of these different things. And you also don't need to have an events and grassroots marketing campaign running at the same time as a digital marketing campaign. The whole idea is that based off of your target audience, based off of their buyer journey, whatever it is that you're doing it for them. You're doing it based on their customer buying journey, and not based off of, let's just see if this is going to work or not. So you're looking at information that you've gathered and creating a plan from there, and then pivoting as you can. So a smaller marketing plan that is considered omnichannel might just be your paid social campaigns and paid Google search ads that lead to that landing page, those forms, email segmentation, all of that stuff. So like I said, there are some software that are available for people who might want to use, like the workflow and automation channels that I'm talking about. So for instance, HubSpot and MailChimp are really good examples of companies that allow you to automate your processes based off of this kind of information. So for example, HubSpot, with one of their marketing plans, I believe it's like $15 a month for the starter, you're able to create online forms or landing pages, and based on the activity of those landing pages and forms, you are able to set up a workflow that says, okay, so they went to this landing page. If they clicked on this button on the landing page, I want them to go here. If they clicked on this button, I would like them to go there, and I would like them added to this list so that they receive this email. It allows you to drag and drop those automations, and it kind of does it for you. But you don't need the software in order to make those automations happen. You just need the workflow set up and for everybody to be on the same page from sales, marketing, and customer service. So it can be done manually, but there are also software to help with these situations as well. So I am now going to turn it over to you. That was a little bit shorter than I anticipated. But if you have any questions for me about this information or about what we talked about today, anything having to do with marketing in 2025 and how you can make this work, maybe you have a very specific situation or a specific target market that you're looking at, maybe we can brainstorm some ideas here. Leave your questions in the chat box and I will get to them in a couple minutes here. But before we do that, I just wanted to look over this slide here. I put all of the resources that I mentioned in the webinar on this slide. So all of the AI tools that I mentioned, all of the marketing platforms for automation workflows and analysis, that's HubSpot and MailChimp. All of that is right here if you want to jot those down if that's something that you're interested in. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and we will get to those in just a couple minutes here. If you don't know where to start with your customer buyer journey and crafting that buyer persona, there's nothing wrong with doing traditional marketing like multi-channel marketing where you try, you've never done this before, you just want to try a Facebook ad and see what happens. Just getting started with that kind of stuff is going to help you better craft that buyer persona. It's going to help you be able to look at your email newsletters and review all the links that people are clicking on, review the copy that they're reading most intently, and say, okay, well, it seems that the people that I'm actually able to connect with are interested in this content. And that does come with a little bit of trial and error. So there's no problem with multi-channel marketing, but your goal is to get to some sort of omni-channel approach so that your marketing, your sales team, and your customer service team are all working together rather than separately. I think it's really common in the health insurance industry, especially with agents who have done this bit for, a long time. Maybe you've had your business for, 10 plus years and you are used to doing something a certain way. And then you add people onto your team. That adds a whole level of complication to it. You can no longer just do the thing that you've been doing for 10 years and expect everything to work well, because everybody needs to be on the same page. As a marketing professional, even if you've done something for 10 years, I'm looking at the data of what's working online. And if your goal is to do more recruitment, as a marketing professional, I'm looking at that and going, okay, but if we did that on the website, it's going to lead to nothing. So we can't do that. This is more for at those points when you are ready to take that marketing to the next step or get your marketing organized, and try to be a little bit more specific, a little bit more targeted with your ads. I'm going to put up this checklist again as well, and this webinar will be is recorded, so I will be loading that as well as the individual corner from earlier this morning This will be loaded onto our YouTube page and on the Resource Center, hopefully by today, but it might be by tomorrow. But here are the steps for omnichannel marketing if you wanted to take a screenshot of that or write those down. This is really step-by-step, step 1, step 2, step 3 of the things that you need in order to have an omnichannel approach. And really, I've stressed this before, but the most important one is always going to be your brand identity. If you don't already have a website, you don't already have a logo, you don't already have, your consistency with your brand, that's your first step with everything these days. You can't really put together the rest of your marketing without all of that put together. So that would be absolutely worth your marketing dollars to get some sort of freelance graphic designer or some sort of agency to help you out with that kind of stuff. Even a niece who's real good at drawing, just get something very consistent that you can rely on. And sometimes, I also want to mention too, sometimes your brand identity is you as an agent. If you are an insurance agent and the only agent with your agency, and people know that they work with Bob, they don't really know that they work with Larkin Agency, they work with Bob. You can use yourself as your brand identity. That's okay too. I think specifically of, oh gosh, what's his name? Blake Maslin, the 444444. It's not like Blake Maslin legal, whatever. I don't even know what his office is, but I know that you're working with Blake Maslin. He's made his entire brand, his phone number and his personality, and it absolutely works for him. It would be the same for a health insurance agent. If you want to make your brand you still need something consistent. You need a brand identity, but that's okay to make it that personal. I get that question a lot, so I thought I'd mention it. Okay, no other questions that I can see, but I am always available to chat about marketing. My email, I'll go ahead and put it in the chat if you guys have any questions for me or if you want to run something by me and see what I think about it. I'm always available. My email is jlarkin@crmstone.com. Feel free to send me a message if you got some ideas or you're stuck on something, you can't craft your own buyer persona and your own strategy. I'm happy to help. It's one of the benefits of being a Cornerstone broker is that you have access to people like me. So yeah, in the chat are my email, and then additionally the link to the Cornerstone Broker Expo. Be sure to register for that. Last year's event was awesome. There was a lot of networking events and we got some really positive responses. So if you're interested and want to get some CE and want to have some FaceTime with the carriers and some of the top brokers in Ohio, please register for that event. We'd love to see you there. It's always a lot of fun. All right, and that should do it for the day. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate your time. We're going to have some more Broker Essential webinars coming up over the next several months. So I think the next one might be on productivity and time management. I'll have to confirm that, but keep an eye on your email and make sure that you are subscribed to our Monday Minute newsletter to ensure that you're receiving updates every single week. All right, thank you everybody and have a great day.